It doesn't always look like panic. There are no visible tremors, no gasps for air, no dramatic outward signs. Instead, it's a low, constant hum in the background of your being, a pressure behind your eyes, a stiffness in your shoulders that never leaves. This is silent anxiety, a pervasive yet invisible state of internal hypervigilance that operates under the surface of a calm exterior. You function, you perform, you even smile, but inside, a quiet alarm is always sounding. It's the voice that whispers something is wrong when everything looks right. The feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop in a peaceful room. This isn't a less serious form of anxiety. It is a masterful disguise, a psychological survival mechanism that allows you to navigate the world while carrying a secret, exhausting weight. Let's uncover why this quiet storm is so pervasive and how it shapes your life from the shadows. You are the reliable one. You meet every deadline, remember every birthday, and handle crises with a steady hand. This competence isn't just skill. It's often the primary armor of silent anxiety. The high-functioning persona is a meticulously crafted performance to outrun the internal You believe that if you stop moving, if you let one ball drop, the chaotic feeling you've been holding back will finally overwhelm you. So you push harder, achieve more, and create a flawless external narrative that screams, "I'm fine." While inside, silent anxiety fuels a relentless engine of proving your worth and securing your safety. The world applauds your composure, completely unaware it is witnessing a brilliant, exhausting act of containment. Your mind might be an expert at rationalizing and minimizing, but your body is a truth-teller. Silent anxiety doesn't live in your thoughts alone. It takes up residence in your physiology. It's the unexplained stomach not before a social event, the chronic tightness between your shoulder blades, the jaw you clench in your sleep, the headaches that arrive like clockwork. These are not random malfunctions. They are somatic bills coming due. Your body is expressing the distress your conscious mind refuses to acknowledge or verbalize. This silent anxiety speaks in the language of tension and fatigue, a constant, low-grade stress response that wears down your systems, whispering its presence through aches and inertia long before your mind is willing to listen. While the outside world sees quiet, inside there is a relentless committee meeting. Silent anxiety is characterized by a private, looping monologue of hypotheticals, second-guessing, and subtle catastrophizing. Did I say something wrong? What if this project fails? They probably think I'm incompetent. This isn't productive planning. It's a cognitive hamster wheel. The thoughts are often quiet, more of a background static than a shout, but they are perpetual. This internal echo chamber creates a reality distortion field, where neutral events are filtered through a lens of threat and lack. You become a prisoner in your own skull, analyzing and reanalyzing life from the isolated control room of silent anxiety, where every signal is suspect and every silence feels heavy with unspoken judgment. Imagine living with a security system that is always, day and night, set to its most sensitive alarm. This is the psychic reality of silent anxiety. Your nervous system is perpetually scanning the environment, both external and internal, for subtle signs of threat. A slight shift in a friend's tone, a vague email from a boss, a quiet moment with your own thoughts, all can trigger a micro-alert. There is no dramatic fight or flight, just a steady drain of resources as your body and mind remain on perpetual standby. This constant low-grade vigilance is why you feel tired all the time. Your battery is being used not for living, but for watching, for preparing. Silent anxiety is not an emotion you feel in moments. It is a taxing physiological state you inhabit. Silent anxiety builds an invisible wall. You look around and see others who seem genuinely at ease, and you feel a profound sense of separateness. How could they possibly understand the undercurrent you navigate daily? The very nature of the condition prevents you from naming it. For to speak it would be to admit the facade isn't entirely real. So you remain in your private bubble of hyper-awareness, smiling through the internal noise. This self-imposed isolation amplifies the anxiety, creating a feedback loop. You feel alone because it's silent, and because you feel alone, you believe your experience is abnormal, which makes the silent anxiety grow stronger. The wall protects no one. It only ensures you face the storm without an umbrella, believing you are the only one getting wet. A hallmark of silent anxiety is its theft of the present moment. Even during periods of genuine peace or happiness, A part of you is monitoring, waiting for the interruption, bracing for the shift. You cannot fully receive a compliment because a voice whispers it will be taken away. You struggle to relax on vacation because the absence of structure feels like danger. This anticipatory tension acts as a filter, dulling the vibrancy of life. Joy feels risky, because to let your guard down completely would leave you exposed to the very unease you're managing. Thus, silent anxiety doesn't just create suffering. It actively inhibits your capacity for pleasure and connection, leaving you in a state of emotional neutrality, safe from extreme pain but also bored from profound joy. For many, silent anxiety is the engine of perfectionism. The unspoken deal is this: if I can make everything flawless, if I can anticipate every need and eliminate every mistake, then I will be safe from judgment, rejection, or the chaos of failure. This isn't about high standards. It's about a desperate need for control in a world that feels inherently unpredictable. The silent anxiety whispers that your worth is conditional, tied to an impossible standard of performance. Every task becomes a potential landmine, and every critique feels like a confirmation of your deepest, unspoken fears. The pursuit of perfection is not a path to excellence, but a grueling, lifelong penance you pay to keep the quiet terror of inadequacy at bay. Silent anxiety is a time traveler, but it only visits one destination, an imagined, troublesome future. It lives in the what-ifs that are so quiet they feel like fact. What if the car breaks down? What if I get sick? What if they leave? This is not planning. It is pre-living catastrophe. The mind, under the influence of silent anxiety, mistakes this vivid rehearsal for a necessary defense. By worrying now, you feel you are somehow preparing or even preventing the future pain. In reality, you are simply living the pain twice. Once in the anxious anticipation, and again if the event ever actually occurs. The present moment is mortgaged to a future that almost never arrives as feared, leaving you in a constant state of paying interest on a loan of worry you never needed to take out. Social settings become a particular theater for silent anxiety. You laugh at jokes, you engage in conversation, you appear fully present. Meanwhile, a separate channel in your mind is analyzing everything, your own words for potential missteps, others' reactions for signs of disapproval, the social dynamics for hidden tensions. The smile on your face is a brilliant piece of counterintelligence, masking the internal siren. This cognitive split is exhausting. You leave gatherings feeling drained, not from socializing, but from the immense labor of performing normality while internally conducting a live threat assessment. The silent anxiety ensures you are never fully in the conversation. You are always slightly beside yourself, watching, managing, and containing. Because silent anxiety has no clear, outward target, its energy has to go somewhere. It often manifests as procrastination, indecision, or a general sense of inertia. You know you should apply for the job, start the project, or have the conversation, but a heavy, intangible resistance holds you back. This is silent anxiety expressing itself indirectly. The fear isn't loud enough to name as a fear of failure. It's just a thick fog of I can't or not yet. The nervous system, stuck in a subtle freeze state, opts for avoidance as safety. The result is a life of missed opportunities and growing frustration, where the real obstacle is never the task itself, but the invisible, paralyzing hum of silent anxiety that surrounds it. When the mind refuses to consciously acknowledge distress, the body often creates a believable excuse. This is how silent anxiety produces a parade of unexplained symptoms: mysterious digestive issues, persistent headaches, sudden dizziness, or overwhelming fatigue. A doctor finds no clinical cause because the cause is psychological. The body is providing a legitimate, tangible alibi for the need to stop, to rest, to retreat from demands that are feeding the silent anxiety. The symptom is both a cry for help and a solution, forcing a slowdown your mind would not permit. You are not making it up. You are somatizing your inner conflict, giving the silent anxiety a voice through the only channel it feels safe using: your physical being. For many, silent anxiety amplifies most violently in stillness. A quiet room, the space before sleep, a solitary drive. These moments of external calm become a vacuum, quickly filled by internal noise. The brain, accustomed to a background hum of vigilance, interprets the silence itself as a threat. A blank canvas, onto which it projects every unattended worry. This is why you might seek constant distraction, music, podcasts, screens, anything to avoid the confrontation with your own mind and peace. The silent anxiety thrives in the absence of external stimulus, proving it is not a reaction to the world, but a feature of your internal landscape. The quiet you crave becomes the very thing you flee, because within it, the silent anxiety finally has your undivided and unforgiving attention. A dangerous milestone with silent anxiety is the point where you no longer recognize it as a condition. You accept it as your personality. You believe you are just a worrier, a type A planner, or someone with a nervous stomach. The constant tension becomes your normal, the internal commentary your default mode of being. This is the ultimate camouflage. By failing to identify the silent anxiety as a separate, changeable state, you surrender to it as identity. You stop seeking solutions because you believe this is simply who you are. A person who is always slightly braced, slightly tired, and slightly removed from the simple joy of existence. The mask is fused, and the fight for a different life ends before it even begins. Beneath the static of silent anxiety lies your intuition, a quieter, wiser signal. But chronic anxiety drowns it out. Intuition speaks in calm knowing, in gut feelings of rightness. Silent anxiety speaks in what-ifs and catastrophic projections. You come to trust the familiar hum of worry over the subtle whisper of inner guidance. This leads to profound self-doubt. You can't decide because you can't hear your own truth over the noise. That feeling of being lost or disconnected from yourself is often the result of silent anxiety hijacking your internal compass. You are left navigating by fear instead of wisdom, following the loudest signal, which is always the one warning of danger, never the one pointing toward peace or authentic desire. The nervous system wired by silent anxiety is not broken. It is overly sensitive. This hyper-awareness can manifest as a gift, an ability to notice subtle cues, anticipate problems, or empathize deeply with others' unspoken emotions. Yet, without an off switch, this gift becomes a curse. You notice a micro-expression of annoyance others miss, and you ruminate for hours. You sense a shift in a room's energy and assume responsibility for it. Your brain processes an overwhelming amount of social and environmental data, most of it meaningless, and tries to find patterns of threat. This exquisite sensitivity, meant to protect you, instead exhausts you, turning the world into a minefield of potential social and emotional hazards that you alone seem obliged to navigate and diffuse. Silent anxiety often operates a relentless mental accounting system. You are constantly, subtly auditing your interactions, your performance, your choices. Did I talk too much? Was that email good enough? Am I doing enough as a friend, a partner, an employee? This internal scorekeeping is a futile attempt to quantify your safety and worth. The ledger never balances, because the anxiety-driven criteria are impossibly shifting. A neutral comment is logged as a deficit. A success is quickly dismissed as a fluke. This silent, exhausting audit creates a background sense of never being quite in the clear, of always carrying a subtle psychic debt. The feeling is one of chronic spiritual insecurity, a life spent trying to earn a passing grade in a class where the rules are unwritten and the teacher is your own unforgiving mind. Deep rest feels like a threat to a system governed by silent anxiety. To fully relaxed means to lower the guard, to surrender control. And in that space, the suppressed feelings, the anxiety manages might surge forward. So, you substitute distraction for rest. You scroll, you binge watch, you stay busy until you collapse from exhaustion, not from relaxation. Sleep may be fitful, as the mind finally has permission to process what was suppressed all day. This creates a deficit cycle where you are perpetually tired but never restored. Silent anxiety steals not just your peace while awake, but your regenerative rest while asleep, ensuring you are always operating from a depleted foundation, which in turn makes you more vulnerable to the anxiety's grip. Your relationships are deeply shaped by silent anxiety, often in ways your partners or friends cannot articulate. You might be perceived as distant, overly sensitive, or quick to assume negativity. Because you are managing an internal storm, you have less emotional bandwidth for true connection. You might withdraw to self-regulate, or become hypervigilant to a partner's moods, attempting to manage their emotions as a proxy for your own unease. The silent anxiety fosters a hidden need for constant reassurance, which can be draining for others who don't understand the unseen need. Love happens in the present, but silent anxiety keeps you partly in a feared future or an analyzed past, creating a subtle, persistent gap between you and the people right in front of you. The first, most powerful step in disarming silent anxiety is to break its primary rule, silence. This means consciously naming it, not as your identity, but as a state. You point to the hum and say, "This is silent anxiety." You notice the clenched jaw and think, "This is my body holding silent anxiety." This act of recognition is revolutionary. It creates a critical separation between you, the observer, and the experience. You are no longer fused with the unease. You are witnessing it. This simple shift begins to drain the anxiety of its anonymous, controlling power. The unnamed hum was a master. The named hum becomes a manageable, albeit difficult, condition of your current nervous system. The light of awareness is the beginning of the end for its silent reign. Silent anxiety is a master of time travel, pulling you into future worries and past analyses. The antidote is a forceful return to the present, a practice called grounding. This isn't a vague concept. It's a physical intervention. Feel your feet flat on the floor. Name 5 things you can see. Listen for 3 distinct sounds. This works because silent anxiety cannot coexist with acute sensory awareness. By flooding your brain with real-time neutral data from your environment, you override the internal threat signal. You are proving to your nervous system, in real time, that you are here. You are safe in this tangible moment. Each grounding act is a small rebellion, a declaration that you will inhabit the reality of the now, not the terrifying fiction of silent anxiety's whispered projections. The monologue of silent anxiety is a story, a repetitive, fear-based narrative you've come to accept as truth. The path to peace is to become the editor of that story. When you notice the thought, "They must be upset with me," you consciously append, or "They're just tired," or "distracted, and it has nothing to do with me." You challenge the certainty of the anxious assumption. This isn't positive thinking, it's accurate thinking. Opening up the field of possibility that silent anxiety deliberately narrows. You are retraining your brain's predictive software, teaching it that the worst-case scenario is only one of many possible outcomes, and often not the most likely. Slowly, the internal voice loses its doom-filled authority and becomes just one of many perspectives you can choose to entertain or dismiss. Silent anxiety lives in the gap between feeling and expression. To dissolve it, you must close that gap, allowing the held energy a conscious outlet. This doesn't mean having a meltdown. It means intentional, embodied release. Scream into a pillow. Vigorously shake out your limbs. Put on music and move your body wildly. Write pages of unsent letters, burning with your true, unfiltered thoughts. These acts discharge the pent-up somatic charge that fuels the silent hum. They prove to your body that it is safe to express intensity, that the feeling will not destroy you if you let it move through you. This process reclaims the vitality that was locked in frozen vigilance. By giving the silent anxiety a form, a sound, a movement, you integrate it, transforming its stagnant energy into a flow of life force you can finally use. Silent anxiety is not your personality. It is a habit of your nervous system, a learned strategy for navigating a world that felt unsafe. Its power lies in its anonymity, and masquerading as your baseline normal. The journey out begins with the radical act of naming it, of pulling this quiet storm into the light of your conscious awareness. From that point, you are no longer a captive to the hum. You are its investigator. Through grounding, you reclaim the present. Through narrative rewriting, you reclaim your mind. Through embodied expression, you reclaim your vitality. The goal is not a life without anxiety, but a life where anxiety is a passing weather system, not the permanent climate. The quiet you have been fearing can become, once again, a place of peace, not a canvas for dread. You are not the silence filled with worry. You are the awareness that can choose to fill it with something else.